I am lulling Lisa, hoping to lull you into a state of relaxation, sleep, or just entertainment through ASMR. Now, today's video is very exciting. We are going to do one test this time. This is not a multiple choice test. It's longer than our usual test, so I think I'll only do one this time. And this is called Deep in the Mountains. I'm excited because I think this will take us on a scenic journey, so it should be more meditative. Seems to be a little bit longer, but before we do that, I have to preface these just in case you're new. Now, in doing a lot of these meditation personality tests, I have found that they are called kokology tests, which led me to finding this book, which essentially kokology in Japanese, kokoro is mind, spirit, feelings. In Greek, logia, the study of, a series of psychological games designed to uncover emotional and behavioral traits of the player. A popular term for the interpretation of the hidden meanings of human behavior and situational responses. What this basically means. This is fancy for doing scenario-based personality tests. I'm going to paint a picture for you. You're going to hopefully be in a relaxing, comfortable, safe environment where you let your imagination run wild. So let the scene that I paint for you just take you on a nice journey. And we are going to then take your answers and we're going to give them meaning by psychologically analyzing the both of us. Because I'm going to also reveal my answers. Now I haven't read ahead. I have no idea what this test is, what it means, etc. We've been getting some fun surprises lately, so this will be pretty exciting to see what this means, what this is all about. So, let's get started on this guided, meditative journey into our psychological minds through kokology. So, deep in the mountains. The mountains and the sea, nature has a power that draws us to her. After all, we are all nature's children, born into her world and fed on her bounty. No matter what marvels technology may develop, getting back into nature lets us feel truly alive, which is actually very true. I agree. Medical science may make advances, but the best medicine will always be nature's own healing power. Beautiful. So that was the preface of Deep in the Mountains. So I'm assuming we are going deep in the mountains. I'll quickly show you the picture and then the test will begin. Mountains. So, your next journey will take you back to that green world. And what better setting for you to rediscover your natural self? Seems to be a series of 4 situations that we must find answers from. So, imagine this. You are immersed into nature. You're on a journey back to that green world, and you're going to rediscover your natural self. You see a mountain, and you have set off to climb a mountain in search of a fabulously rare stone. So you're looking for something on this journey. You have set off to climb a mountain in search of a fabulously rare stone. is your interpretation of the mountain as you stand at its foot? So, this is asking you to imagine that you're going to climb this mountain because you are searching a fabulously rare stone. You're searching for this stone. You are standing at the foot of this mountain in your mind's eye. What is your impression of this mountain as you stand at its foot? So I want you to vividly imagine this mountain. You need to imagine what it looks like, perhaps the difficulty in climbing the mountain, the size. Just picture this in your mind's eye. Perhaps the picture I showed you was swaying you a little bit, but just imagine this. If you were to climb a mountain in search of a fabulously rare stone, what is your impression while standing at the foot of this mountain? Next question. So, after your impression of this mountain, you then begin climbing the mountain and searching for this stone, this rare stone. After a hard search, you still haven't found the stone, and now the sun has fallen. What will you do next? What do? You're searching for the stone, you're on the mountain, the sun has fallen. What will you do next? What do you decide to do? Keep this in mind. This is the second question. What will you do when you haven't found the stone? Next, after the choice that you made, you seem to have finally discovered the stone that you were seeking. I wonder if your decision brought you closer to it or not, but either way, you finally discovered the stone that you were seeking on this mountain. What kind of stone is it? Imagine the stone. Describe its size, its weight, and its value. So I am personally also picturing a color. I don't know if that's relevant, but the size, the weight, and the value of this very rare, precious stone. Now, it's time to come down from the mountain and return home. I'm assuming that you've pocketed the stone. But now it is time for you to come down the mountain. As we know, the sun was setting. And you found your stone, so you're ready to go home. What parting words do you have for the mountain? And what is its reply? So imagine that you say something to the mountain and it can actually reply back. What parting words do you have for the mountain? And what is its reply? Imagine that for a second. Even if it seems silly, the first thing you thought of. The key to deepen the mountains. The mountain that looms before you represents your father or a father figure in your life. In psychological terms, it is a manifestation of the archetype of the wise old man. The stone you seek symbolizes abilities and strengths you must discover within yourself on your own journey to adult independence. This is interesting. So now we are going to find our answers to this test, now that we know the meaning. So the first question, remember, they said, you've set off to climb the mountain and you're searching for a rare stone. What is your impression of the mountain as you stand at its foot? Your impression of the mountain shows the image you have of your father. Was it difficult and unforgiving, gentle and easily conquered, or did you have an idealized image of a magnificent peak that somehow seemed to welcome you and encourage you in your quest? interesting. So your impression of the mountain shows the image you have of your father. So I think the photo of the mountain swayed me a little bit because I imagined a giant, huge, tall mountain that perhaps would have been difficult to climb, but obviously not too difficult because I just imagined myself strolling up the mountain somehow. So it says, did you have an idealized image of a magnificent peak that somehow welcomed you? And yeah, I kind of did in a way. It was difficult, but I was also easily conquering. Interesting. So I have a very good relationship with my father. He has 3 daughters. I'm the middle child. And my dad he's such a great person. And he's definitely not difficult or unforgiving. He would be more easily conquered because, he has daughters. So I'm not sure where this is going exactly. I wouldn't have saw a mountain as being like my father figure, but the first image isn't necessarily wrong. I suppose the mountain is huge because we do idolize our father, us sisters, so that's interesting. Next, number 2. So remember, number 2 said, after a hard search, you still haven't found the stone and now the sun has fallen. What will you do next? I admit this one kind of confused me, and I a little bit cheated ahead to see what number 3 was going to ask of us. So that kind of swayed my decision, but it said, the stone you are searching for represents your as yet undiscovered talent or strength. Your response to this question shows whether you will ever realize that untapped potential. People who say they'd keep searching for the stone no matter what tend to show the same persistence and determination in their own lives, never giving up even when efforts seem fruitless. Those who said they'd call it quits for the day but come back again to continue the search are the type who pace themselves, spreading their efforts over a long period of time. There are probably more than a few late bloomers in this group. People who gave up looking for the stone altogether are in danger of never fulfilling their true potential. So even though I cheated a little bit, my first thought before I cheated to see whether we would ever find the stone or not, my first thought was that I would call it quits for the day. So either I would camp out on the mountain if it was too high, or I would simply climb it again the next day. But I didn't want to give up, but I did want to pace myself. So that's definitely true what I said. The second part about pacing myself and spreading my efforts over a long period of time. I think I am a late bloomer in many ways, I would say. Maybe. Hard to say, but yeah. Interesting. I think that's true. Okay. Next, number 3. So the third question sort of posed us as finally discovering the stone we were searching for. And then it asked, what type of stone is it, the size, weight, and value? So this says, the way you describe the stone shows your feeling of self-worth. How big and heavy was it? And what did you think of its value? Oh, about $20 or so. That's not much of an appraisal, is it? It turned out to be a huge diamond worth millions. Hold on now, let's not get carried away with ourselves. So, if we essentially say that the stone was not that valuable, not a high appraisal, maybe this means that we don't have such a high self-worth. And if we say it's huge and it's diamond and it's like worth millions, maybe we have too much of a large ego, which is interesting. So before they asked about the color, before they asked about the weight and size and value, I admit I was not thinking of value whatsoever. I imagined a large, like pink stone. I don't know why. It's just the image that came to my mind. So when he was talking value, I was like, oh, was I supposed to imagine a diamond? I just pictured like a very rare, like pink stone that who knows what the value would be, priceless, who knows? So that's interesting, your feelings of self-worth. Interesting that this mountain is supposed to be your father, and this question is talking about feelings of self-worth because I will admit that my father gave me and my sisters a lot of feelings of self-worth, especially growing up in all stages of life, in your chubby stages or not so cute stages or whatever. My father always told my sisters and I that we're so beautiful. So I think that I've always had a pretty good feeling of self-worth. And I think my father places a high importance on me in particular, to the point that maybe he feels like sometimes like no one is good enough for me, so he's a little bit harder on the people that I'm with. Like, he loves my fiance, of course, but I mean, in my father's eyes, no one is good enough for his like little gem, is what he calls me. So it's interesting that I imagine like a type of gem, you know? Interesting. I'm getting into this. Okay. Now, number 4, the final one, it says, it's time to come down from the mountain and return home. What parting words do you have for the mountain, and what is its reply? So before I read the answer, I think I said something like, thank you for giving me everything I've been searching for, or everything I've desired. Like, in the end, even though the journey was a bit difficult, you provided me for everything. And the mountain kind of said, like, of course, like, you know, it was like a comforting experience. This is very, very weird now. Okay, so this says, number 4, your parting words to the mountain reveal what you have always wanted, but never have been able to say to your father. That's getting me a little emotional. The mountain's reply shows your idea about his feelings for you. Do you recognize any of these patterns? And then it goes on to give a mini dialogue. You, thanks for everything. Mountain, you take care of yourself. Did you have that kind of ideal exchange? Or did it go more like, you, well, it looks like I'm finally through with you. Mountain, you can say that again. Maybe it's time you and your father sat down for a talk. I didn't expect to ever get emotional for a test, a kokology test, because a lot of them have been making me laugh, and they've been very, sexual and just humorous in a way. So, deep in the mountains, this was a really nice experience. The beginning I was unsure of, but in the end, I think that this for me was pretty accurate. If you're comfortable sharing, feel free to share if you felt as though this was accurate for you or not, but I found this to be quite accurate. I don't know, I really like this one. So, this kokology test is complete, and I really enjoyed the Deep in the Mountains test. I hope that whatever your relationship is with your father, past or present, ideal or not, I hope this wasn't in any way uncomfortable. And hopefully this just has you learn a little bit more of yourself. Now, if this was completely wrong and, unrelated, remember these tests are just for fun. They're just to exercise the imagination and let our, creative juices flow, to picture a scenario in our mind and study ourselves, if you will. So